Good morning and a very warm welcome to Business Breakfast with the business news from at home and from all around the world. It's 16 minutes past 6, you're watching the BBC's Business Breakfast. This morning's headlines. Gordon Wilson, whose daughter Marie was killed in the Remembrance Day bombing at ENDSCREEN, has had his meeting with the IRA. The latest UN attempt to evacuate people from the besieged Bosnian town of Srebrenica is now underway. And the Vatican is understood to be paving the way for Church of England clergy opposed to women priests to join the Roman Catholic Church. Thank you very much indeed, and that wraps up the business news for the moment.
I'll be back with a market update in around 15 minutes with news of the pound's strength against the mark. In a moment, breakfast news, but first all the news, the travel and the weather wherever you're waking up.
London for breakfast news.
Good morning to you from Jill and me. It's 7 o'clock on Thursday, the 8th of April. Time is coming up to 14 minutes past 7. The headlines this morning: Gordon Wilson, whose daughter Marie was murdered in the Remembrance Day bombing in ENDSCREEN, has had a 2-hour meeting with the IRA. The latest UN attempt to evacuate people from the besieged Bosnian town of Srebrenica is now underway. And the Vatican has indicated that it may accept Church of England clergy who are opposed to women priests. Thank you, Ian. Later in this morning's BBC Breakfast News, profiting from punishment. We'll be looking at government plans for more private prisons.
And marketing the Masters. Augusta, Georgia prepares for its major golf tournament. But first, the news, travel and weather in your area this morning. At 11 o'clock. Day. News at 1 o'clock.
This is BBC One.
The 1 o'clock news from the BBC.
Gordon Wilson says we're not 1 inch closer to peace after his secret meeting with the IRA. A sacking and a shake-up among the Salvation Army's top brass as the Charity Commission starts a £6 million fraud inquiry. The third biggest teachers' union votes unanimously for a ballot on boycotting school tests. And a new United Nations convoy arrives in Srebrenica to try to rescue more people from the besieged town. Good afternoon. With the time at nearly 27 minutes past 1, the main news again. Gordon Wilson says his secret meeting with the IRA was quite pointless and hadn't advanced the prospects for peace. The Charity Commission has begun a fraud inquiry into the loss of nearly $9 million by the Salvation Army, and talks aimed at preventing next week's rail strike by ASLEF have broken down. And that's all this Thursday lunchtime. From me on the 1 o'clock news, good afternoon and goodbye.
This is BBC One.
The 6 o'clock news from the BBC with Anna Ford and Andrew Harvey.
Good evening. The headlines at 6 o'clock. Gordon Wilson, whose daughter was murdered by the IRA, said his meeting with the terrorists was pointless. He said it had not brought peace an inch closer. Talks to try to avert the rail strike look likely to end in failure. More teachers threaten industrial action over school tests. In Bosnia, 5,000 rounds of ammunition are found on a UN aid truck. And the Salvation Army sacks a top official after losses of £6 million. Later in this news, preparing for the Rodney King verdict in Los Angeles. Riot police go into training in case there's a repeat of last year's riots. And Anglican priests opposed to the ordination of women say the Vatican has opened the door for them to join the Catholic Church. And now the time is 6:13.
The main stories this evening: Gordon Wilson, whose daughter was killed in the Enniskillen bombing 6 years ago, has admitted that his meeting with the IRA was quite pointless. Talks between BR and the main rail union, the RMT, aimed at preventing next week's one-day strike, are still going on. This morning, talks with the train drivers union ASLEF ended in failure. One of the three main teaching unions, the Association of Teachers and Lecturers, is to ballot its members on a boycott of the national curriculum tests.
And that was the 6 o'clock news on Thursday, the 8th of April. The Irish Senator Gordon Wilson, whose daughter was killed in the Enniskillen bombing, has described his meeting with the IRA as pointless. Mr. Wilson said he was disappointed and saddened because the IRA position was entrenched. He said, "I got nothing, and in that sense, perhaps I was duped."
The Democratic Unionist MP Peter Robinson said that Gordon Wilson had given the IRA some respectability and credibility, and he'd considerably boosted the IRA campaign.
The leader of the SDLP, John Hume, said Mr. Wilson's approach had shown not just enormous courage, but incredible Christian tolerance. And that's all so far. There'll be more at 9 o'clock from Andrew and from me. Good evening.
So now on BBC One, the 9 o'clock news with Martin Lewis.
Gordon Wilson says his talks with the IRA were pointless. They brought us not an inch closer to peace. He admits he may have been duped, but does not regret the secret meeting. A UN convoy carrying 1,500 sick and wounded Muslim civilians from Srebrenica finally reaches the safety of Tuzla. And talks to prevent the second one-day rail strike next Friday have ended in stalemate. Good evening. Main news again. Gordon Wilson, whose daughter was killed in the Enniskillen bombing, has said his talks with the IRA didn't achieve anything. He saw no evidence of a shift in their campaign of violence. More on Newsnight at 10:30 on BBC Two. That's the 9 o'clock news tonight. Good night.
Good evening.